Few things affect people more than the topic of money. Yet, we don't talk much about it. We trudge along and hope things work out, but never really know for sure. I think it's time for some answers. Hi, I'm Tom Stone, and welcome to Talking About Dollars and Sensibility. Today's show is brought to you by Guild Mortgage Company. Closing loans and opening doors since 1960. Located at 175 North Main Street, right here on Heber City. It's Main Street. Our phone number is easy. 435-654-9979. 9979 it is. Or just come on by and see us. We're located right next to the car wash on Main Street on the 200 North block in the Tate Building. I've invited Ryan Starks today on the show. Welcome, Ryan.
Hey, Tom. Thanks for having me on.
One second. Welcome, Ryan.
Hey, Tom. Thanks for having me on today.
I didn't have the thing up. Glad you're here. Ryan, let me tell you why I invited you. Because I want to talk about business in Heber City, maybe even particularly entrepreneurship. But before I get there,
Great.
I want to talk about you.
Okay.
Okay? Tell us just a little bit about why you came to Heber, where you're from. Give us just 30 seconds on you.
Well, I'm from the Ogden area and went to Weber State University. Met my wife, Amy. We dated for a year, got married, and lived the happy life of a newlywed couple. I was working in Salt Lake, the Governor's Office of Economic Development. Felt like there was more to life that I wanted to accomplish, and so ended up selling our house, moving to school, losing our insurance, living the life of a graduate student.
Went to what school there?
We went to BYU, where I did a
BYU.
master's degree of public management.
Okay.
And went back to the Governor's Office of Planning and Budget, where I was a budget analyst over the areas of the state's economic development and tourism. And just kind of had a soft spot in my heart for it. Felt like things were going well. I was kind of living that big
Hold on a
city
second.
life.
Where did this soft spot come from? Most people grow up and say, I want to be an engineer, a doctor. You said, I want to be a tourism economic guy. What is the deal?
I think it's partially because I'm a geek in some
Okay.
regards. I like to crunch numbers. I like to look at data.
Mm-hmm.
And I like to work with people. So it was just a good combination. And working there in the governor's office, when I got an email from a friend who said, here's a job up in Heber City that you should really look at. It's to be the director of tourism and economic development.
Mm-hmm.
Looked at it, kind of laughed it off at first and thought, I don't know that that's for me. But I talked to my wife about it, and she said, well, Heber, huh? And we started talking about it, and just kind of felt good that maybe I should apply for this job. I did, got the offer. We moved up here 2.5 years ago. Live in Heber City, and now that we're here, we never want to leave. We love the area, love the valley, and it's just been a very pleasant experience for us thus far.
Tell me why your first impression was, nah, not Heber.
Because I'd only been here once, and that was when I got lost, to tell you the truth. And so then when we came back and we realized, as we were house hunting, we realized, wow, there's really a lot more here than we ever expected. And
So first impressions
first impressions
aren't always the best ones
That's right. Well, until we got here, and so
until you got here.
yeah.
Awesome. So I asked you to take the personality test, the financial personality test. Go there for a second. Tell us what you learned or already knew.
Well, I got on the website, is it dollarsandsensibility.com, where I took the test, and I came out as a blue. And
What does that mean?
Blues typically are a little more conservative by nature, low risk. They seek safety. They trust the numbers to others. One of the questions asks about the fine print. How thoroughly do you read it? I read the fine print, but I kind of skim through it. And so it totally defines me, and got right on the mark there. So
Let me tell you, there's two reasons I asked that question. First one is to hear about you. Second one is, sorry, Ryan, maybe a little more important. So at Guild Mortgage, about every month or so, we give away something.
okay.
And it's generally concert tickets and different things like that. Well, this month it's Lady Antebellum tickets, the end of the month. So giving away those tickets, and to enter, you go to our Facebook, Guild Mortgage Facebook, to enter, and that's, if any of you have done that, it's the same old thing. But we're adding a little extra piece here. You need to know what Ryan's personality color is. You just have to say blue, and that will enter you in actually twice to help you get a better chance at that. So if anyone's interested in Lady Antebellum tickets, enter on our Facebook page.
So
All right.
does that mean I get a enter as well?
Sure, Ryan, go for it.
We'll see
Why
what
not?
happens. All right.
Why not? I'd love to have you go. Let's go to our topic. Let me give you a hypothetical. I want to start a new business in Heber, and I'm more of a small shop. Where do I start? What would be a good place for you to recommend me to go and just find some stuff out and see if my idea is good, or
That's it.
where do I start?
That's a great question, and what you just described is something that we deal with frequently. People that have the entrepreneur spirit that want to make a difference in the world. They realize that small business is kind of the backbone of our economy. They come in, and my recommendation would be to come visit with me. Come talk, tell me about
you
your business
personally?
plan. To me personally.
Okay.
And then we have a contract.
Are you too busy for that?
I'm not too busy.
All right.
I'm never too busy to meet with somebody wanting to do a small business.
Sweet.
And we actually have a business specialist as well. It's a part-time contracted employee through a grant that we received through the state.
And who's that?
His name's Mark Nelson. He's also the director of the Heber Valley Railroad. So he's a small business consultant, and so this person would come and meet with me, would meet with Mark. We could give him this person some advice on a business plan and kind of look at, what it is they're trying to accomplish. Do they have a business plan? Do they have financing? What are they going to do with office space? And so there's a whole variety of things that we need to look at.
Let's go down that list a little bit. So I'm kind of curious, when you define a small business, is there a dollar amount, or is there a number of employees? Is there something that you say, we want to help people this size or this value, or is there a definition?
Typically, the way the contract works with the state is they define a small business as 50 employees or less.
Okay.
And typically, we're not seeing a bunch of people, entrepreneurs that come in with 50 employees. It's coming in with 1 or 2 or maybe 3. So.
Okay. And you said the state. Is that everything you do? Is it state? Is it coming from the state, the information you use? How does?
So this program's called the Business Resource Center Program. It's administered by the Governor's Office of Economic Development, and they allow communities to partner with them as long as there's a university component. So we wrote a grant where we partnered with the Governor's Office of Economic Development. They contributed some funds. Our office here at Wasatch County contributed some funds, and then we partnered with the UVU Wasatch campus. So that we can tie in that higher education element.
So that was a critical piece to make this work.
It was. And UVU has been very generous. Their offering is in-kind office space so that Mark can go up there 2 days a week, meet with people. I can meet with people. It's a good partnership.
What are some of the ideas that you've heard recently that you might assume, wrong word, that you kind of go, hey, that one's going to work?
Well, there's a company that I would like to talk about. It's here in Heber City. It's called Camtech. They just opened a small office in the Activa Plaza, and they have this technology to where it's they've reached out to the Department of Defense. They've spent a lot of time back in Washington, D.C., presenting to key military personnel. The technology revolves around the idea that you can actually take like an antenna, but turn it into some type of spray. And so it's rather than having the military set up some big bunny ears in the middle of Iraq, they can actually spray their product on a tree, and this product will be 10 times more powerful than any antenna that the military currently has.
That's pretty
So
interesting.
they've actually taken that idea, and they're exploring additional options of what they can do. They're trying to commercialize it, and so they're starting first with government contracts. Now they're at the point where they want to commercialize and expand their business. They live in Heber. This really could be the next big thing. They've presented on a number of key television shows and magazines, been awarded as one of the up-and-coming companies, top companies in the world. So pretty exciting.
Tell me what did you do? So they came to you and they gave this idea, and you said, let's get you an office. Tell me some of the stuff you...
Well, at this point, they're kind of in the brainstorming point where they're looking, what else can we do? If we want to commercialize, we're going to need capital. How do we acquire capital? And that's a common question that entrepreneurs have, right? Maybe this question that we all have is, how do we get more money?
Where's the money?
Where's the money?
You bet.
And so our involvement is we have a revolving loan fund through another group that we belong to, and that's called the Mountain Land Association of Governments. It's a group that it's in Provo. but it represents Utah County, Summit County, and Wasatch County.
Mm-hmm.
This group administers a fund that is allowed to go to the entrepreneurs in the form of a loan. And so try to connect the dots with this CamTech company to the Mountain Land Association of Governments so that they can apply for a loan. They can apply up to $100,000. It's a low interest loan, typically 5 to 10 year period, repayment period. And so that's kind of one step that we're doing with them.
Is 100,000 the maximum for MAG?
The minimum is 5,000 for MAG. I believe it goes up to 100,000. In some there may be exceptions.
Is there a certain kind of business they look to do?
Not necessarily. They want to. Actually, that kind of lends itself to a broader question, and that's what type of industry has the greatest chance for success here in Wasatch County and Summit County and Utah County.
Great point, please.
And MAG just went through a comprehensive economic development strategy where they brought in some consultants. We had a series of meetings with small businesses throughout the area in all 3 counties. We looked at what are our opportunities, what are our weaknesses, what are our strengths, and they came back with some recommendations. So for Wasatch County, some of the key cluster industries that they recommended are aviation, just based on the airport.
Sure.
Technology, we're close to Provo, close to Utah County, that's really booming right now in that field. Medical devices and medical services. We have the dialysis center that's going to open in 2014. Pretty big deal for Wasatch County and for the Wasatch Valley.
Why is that a big deal? Tell us what that means.
What that means is currently there are a lot of dialysis patients that are having to leave Heber. They're having to leave Park City and go down to Salt Lake or go down to Provo. So having a dialysis center in Heber City will be the only one in the Wasatch back. With our population growing, this is a great asset for our community. But it also has an economic impact in terms of travel, and this is something I had never thought about. A lot of people will book a vacation. A lot of dialysis patients will book a vacation 3 to 4 years in advance, depending on where there's a spot for them to receive these services.
Oh.
And so people now may say, okay, Heber Valley has dialysis, let's book our vacation there. And they'll stay for weeks at a time. They're not the ones that are going to be high adventure. They'd rather come for the leisure-based activities and have the proximity to the dialysis center.
Including a restaurant. Of course, those things.
Yeah. Take a ride on the train, and, who wouldn't want to come to this area?
So we just talked about an incredible product that we go, wow, I've never thought of that. What if I had something more basic, a cleaning company, a new accountant in town, those kind of things? If they came and saw you, would you say we already have 14 cleaning companies, try something else,
We actually had a gentleman come in just a month ago. He said, from out of state, we love this area, and we have a cleaning company. And what advice can you give us? How can we get involved? So our office recently overtook the Chamber of Commerce. And when I say overtook, it's more of a merger where we're administering the program. We're trying to be an asset to the community. The Chamber allows people to come, to network, to get their name out there. We're offering a variety of ways to kind of promote yourself through our business blog. We're creating a custom business guide so that when somebody moves into the valley, we can give that to them. They have a directory of who's who, so to speak. And so that's one way that a business can kind of get their name out there. But then also we would refer this person over to our business resource center to where we can kind of sit down.
And that's Mark and
that's
you.
Mark and me. And we can shoot holes in their plan if we see it. We can give them advice. One thing that we're seeing is very popular is social media.
Yeah.
And I think you've done a good job with your contests, and that's what we're trying to get other businesses to kind of take hold of as well.
So you found that to be a positive for other businesses, is that social media?
We definitely have, and it's a way that they can promote themselves, that they can just generate a greater sense of awareness. What's really interesting is a lot of our small businesses, they're great. They offer great services. They're very competitive with prices, but nobody knows about them.
Yep.
And how many times do we hear, oh, I didn't know that business was up here?
Yep.
So this 2013, we did the Unplugged campaign where we offered 101 small little tags called brag tags to the small children, right, if they would complete an activity. And for each activity, there was a business that would sponsor it. And once they completed the activity, they'd have to go to the business, redeem their little brag tag, and the feedback was amazing. We heard, wow, we never knew that business was here.
Mm-hmm.
And overall, we saw an increase of traffic of about 400% for the small businesses throughout the valley,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of a good way to get the name out.
Awesome. You keep referencing we when you discuss the chamber. We.
Mhm.
Tell us who's the we over in your building.
Well, let me say this. This idea of economic development's a team sport.
Okay.
And so whether you're the Chamber of Commerce, or whether you're tourism or economic development, whether you're a small business, we're all on the same team.
Mm-hmm.
And so in our office, we have Rachel Kaler, who's our marketing and events manager. What her role is to really promote the special events that come into the county.
Like?
So like cowboy poetry,
Okay.
like some of the rodeos that happen in the event complex. She's developed a relationship with the event center people over there.
Mm-hmm.
There's a variety of, I mean, you name it, from races to
Mm-hmm.
just recently we had the ice castles in Midway.
Sure.
And she was able to generate some press. We're having a special tour called a FAM tour where we bring in some media and they come in and they write about it and report.
Who's the media? Who would come?
Yeah, so we have local media, KSL, Deseret News, Salt Lake
Mhm.
Tribune, but then we also have a partnership with the state of Utah's Office of Tourism.
Okay.
Well, they'll bring in international media representatives. So in 2013, for example, we had folks come out from France, from Germany, and maybe one more country from the UK,
Mm.
to where they came out and said, tell us about this area, Heber Valley.
Mm.
They go back and they write in their blogs and their publications. And so when you say media, it could be the Wasatch Wave to, some company in London.
Awesome. Finish who your staff is.
We actually yesterday hired a new PR manager. His name's Dallin Kosher.
Mhm.
We stole him from the Wasatch County Health Department.
Okay.
So Dallin has a background in PR, has a master's degree in public administration. Feel fortunate to have him join our team. He's still learning the ropes, and
Mhm.
it's like drinking through a fire hose, but we're excited to have him.
What do you expect out of him?
For the past 13 years, we've had a contract with a company in Salt Lake, a PR firm called Intrepid. They gave us 30 hours a month of their services
Mm-hmm.
and did a great job and really helped us get it to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
But we felt like it was time to bring in somebody full-time for an equivalent pay where we can get 40 hours a week, somebody that can develop relationships with the press, somebody that can work with our hoteliers to develop more business on their behalf, group travel, events, things like that up here. And so his role is really just to bring outsiders in
Mm-hmm.
that really support our local economy. These are the people that come in, films, for example.
Mm.
We had just this week a film, a Samsung commercial that was filmed from. It's actually going to be aired in Korea.
Oh, is
So
it?
we had 200 Koreans here at the Heber Valley Railroad over at Deer Creek, and they stopped. They ate in our restaurants. They filled up their cars with gas, walked around and asked what's there to do here.
Mm-hmm.
And so those are the sort of things that Dallin's going to work on, is getting outsiders to come in, spend their money, and then leave.
Anyone else working at your office?
We do. We have Jessica Broadhead. Jessica's our office manager, has been with our office for about a year, and also does our social media. So if any of your listeners want to go to gohebervalley.com, that's our website, or our Facebook page is Heber Valley.
And so if they go there, what are they going to see? Why would they go there?
Well, they're going to find out what's going on in the community. And so our website it has a list of all events and activities. So whether it's the ice castles in Midway or upcoming fun things to do, but then there's a business section that lists resources. So if somebody's looking for economic data,
Mm-hmm.
how many people live up here? What does last month's housing market look like in terms of number of houses sold, things
Mhm.
like that?
Mhm.
They can go find all of that there.
So in all of your data, in your
Mhm.
job and analysis and meetings that you go to, do you ever sit down and analyze what do we picture this valley, this business community look like in 1 year, 5 years,
Mhm.
10, 20? Give us a picture of what you see or your data is telling us in 1, 5, 10, and 20.
Great question. For me, it all starts with population.
Mm-hmm.
Population creates a demand for goods and services. And when you look at our population right now, from 2000 to 2010, our population in Wasatch County grew by 55%, which is enormous for any community to take on. Since then, we've steadily increased about 4% per year. And so right now our population in Wasatch County is 25,500.
Mm-hmm.
By the year 2040, so this is just 26 years out,
Mm-hmm.
we'll go from 25,000 to 60,000.
60.
So we're going to more than double in the next 26 years. That's a growth of about 1,200 people per year. And so when you see that, that changes the dynamics of what our valley is going to look like. And that obviously affects the business community.
Mm-hmm.
And so speaking of business, what's it going to look like in the next year, 5 years? I think 2014, I posed this question to my staff, and that's, what do you think this year is going to look like when we look back on it?
Yeah.
So it's kind of starting from the north end up by Jordanelle. The county council's working with a group called MIDA. It's the Military Installation Development Authority.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of the same concept as Hill Air Force Base. No one city or county really governs Hill Air Force Base. It's kind of its own
Mm-hmm.
autonomous entity. So MIDA has partnered with Wasatch County and has some plans to create some additional ski resorts and lifts and some recreational opportunities that'll be a big attraction for our county.
1 second.
Okay.
MIDA is, did I just say something about military or something?
Yes,
And they're interested in ski resorts.
they are. And
Help me understand that one.
Sure. If you look at the military, they have 5 or 6 major resorts throughout the world. One's in Hawaii, I believe one's in Germany, and a few other places. And it gives their personnel the opportunity to get away, to go with their families on their off time, and to just get away, to recreate, to have their vacation. It's kind of a perk. And so
I didn't know that.
this agreement would allow MIDA to come in and build a hotel, the military hotel, that would actually also be open to the public.
Okay.
And so it's not just military that can
Okay.
use it, but they would have some sort of priority. And so if this gets rolling, it's really going to enhance our tourism profile as a place where people can come recreate even more than they're already doing. I know the county council's been working on that for the past couple of years. They're close to finalizing agreements, and it's a complex process, but if we can make it happen, it's going to be a really good thing for our community.
Cool.
From there, we kind of look at the Wasatch campus,
Mm-hmm.
UVU campus. How's it doing?
How's it doing exactly?
Right, and it's kind of been stagnant for the past number of years. Enrollment
Why?
has just suffered. A lot of people would rather go down to Orem
How come?
or to Provo so that they can be on their own, so they can enjoy that college experience, right?
Okay.
We see a lot of students that are still living at home, maybe just barely graduated high school, waiting to go to the next school, waiting to serve a church mission, waiting for that next step in their life that are taking classes here. But to Wasatch, to UVU's credit, they've really tried to promote the campus. Currently, they have a couple of programs they're exploring that could be pretty significant. One of them that we're really excited about is a new sound stage that the digital arts program just purchased.
Mm-hmm.
It's an agreement with the state of Utah, with Universal Studios, and with a film program in China, to where they'd send their students over for some exclusive training here at this campus. They'd be close to Park City, close to Salt Lake, and ideally they would stay here. I know that there's agreements in the works with the Zermatt Resort so that they could stay there, attend classes up at the campus, receive their training, and it's state-of-the-art technology.
So do you see the success of the UVU campus, I'm talking personally and from your experience, that if there was a sole reason, a program, a purpose to come to this campus, rather than we offer what Orem does, come if you can, is that what you see as maybe the difference maker?
Yeah, I think if there was a real hook, what's unique about it?
A hook, that's what you should say.
And I think hospitality management's one of those hooks. You know, if you want to go into that field, we have our resorts here. We have the skiing up at Park City. And so UVU, in an attempt to create that hook, has actually transferred that program up here to where they have faculty here. And it's an online program, but it's based here at this campus. And so they're taking steps to make sure that they create that hook for students to come.
Let me take just a short break. You're listening to KTMP. So I'll try it one more time. You're listening to KTMP 1340, your hometown station. Today's program is brought to you by Guild Mortgage Company. And remember that Ryan's color is Go for it, Ryan.
Blue.
Blue. In case you're interested in those Lady Antebellum tickets. All right, let's go back. We're coming down south through the Heber corridor.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us more.
Just north of Kings, there's some commercial land. I know I've met with a few people who have expressed a lot of interest in creating some sort of development. Nothing's finalized, no announcements are being made, but the nature of these developments is retail office space and potentially some entertainment. They've looked at some things that maybe the community is currently lacking.
Am I hearing in you that you can't tell us what it is yet?
I would rather not.
Okay,
just
that's
so
fine.
that I don't shoot myself in the foot if it doesn't happen. I've
That's a
learned that
deal.
lesson before.
That's the deal.
So continuing down Main Street, 2014, we're going to see a lot of changes. We have the Zions Bank that's going to be completed. Pretty exciting to see that corner of Main Street really revitalized.
Yeah.
And that section of business, there's also Ignition Graphics that's just opening up a small little business. 2 employees right now, looking to expand to maybe 4 or 5. That's what it's all about. It's the mom and pop shop, this entrepreneurial group, husband and wife, who say, let's move from our basement, let's buy a space on Main Street, and let's make it look good too.
You bet.
And excited to support them.
In fact, I got to add my 2 cents on that one. I spent many years and still support Community Alliance for Main Street, which is particularly in the historical section, which is 200 North down past the park, that we focus on turn of the century. That it's high class, but there's a do I dare say theme? A theme about it, that it's a turn of the century look. Or take it back to the original idea. So that we don't end up looking like every other city USA.
Yeah.
We have our own look.
Our own unique look and feel.
And that's, for the most part, that's happened. So when you say make it look good and to have it look like Heber, I think is important. So there's my 2 cents on that part of it.
Well, that's great. If you continue down Main Street, McDonald's, you know, right now if you look at it, it's not the prettiest building. They've decided that they're going to actually raise the building. They're going to tear it down, and rather than just try to fix it up, they're going to rebuild from the ground up.
Really?
Pretty exciting. I think that'll do a lot for that corner. Across the street, we have the high school. The school districts work diligently to try to get that building sold. They have some agreements in place where hopefully something will happen with that in 2014. Okay. So keep your fingers crossed. And I think that would be a good thing for our Main Street as well.
You bet. Right now, when there's abandoned buildings on Main Street, it doesn't
bode well.
It doesn't, does it?
Yeah.
Not that anyone's to blame, but I agree with that. Continue on.
Right behind Walmart, this is another success story that we're just thrilled about. Mrs. Call's Chocolates currently is on the north end of town. They're in a 1,500 square foot facility.
Yeah.
A couple of entrepreneurs bought the business a few years back. A couple of MBA students have turned it to become very profitable. They have clients throughout the United States and just got to the point where they needed more space. We met with them, said, what are your needs? They told us it's facilities. Tried to connect them with Heber City, knowing that Heber City owns some land in the industrial area near the Walmart. Heber City was able to sell them the land, and now they're building a 15,000 square foot manufacturing facility. And so if anybody gets a chance to drive behind Walmart, you'll see this building that's being built right now. The frame's up, the walls are coming up. Pretty exciting. And that's one of those industries that we can hang our hat on. You know, it's low impact. Who doesn't love chocolate? And it's a fun success story.
Where do they sell their chocolate?
They have distributors. They distribute it. I know I have an uncle that lives, it's actually my wife's uncle, lives in California. He found out we were moving to Heber City a couple years ago. And he said, oh, you're so lucky there's a company up there, Mrs. Call's Chocolates, and we get all of our caramels from them for our executives.
Oh, wow.
And I had no idea. And so I believe their portfolio spans the entire nation.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
If you continue down, I had mentioned this already, but I'm not going to say IHC. The Heber Valley Medical Center is really expanding. They've talked about 2014 as a growth year where they're going to bring in some additional doctors, some specialty doctors, some OBGYNs that are females, which is a need that we have. But then they're also going to take the old Gene Brown building,
Mhm.
and they've purchased that, and they're going to build a new dialysis center that should open up sometime this spring.
I see.
And it's going to be a big deal, something that I think we can hang our hat on as well.
You call it Gene Brown building. I know what that means, but maybe someone else does. Which building are you talking about?
It's the Brown building on Highway 40 across from Silver Eagle. It's kind of a faded brown. There are some doctor's offices there.
Mhm.
It's where the Fit Stop originated.
There you go.
Yeah.
Cross street from the hospital.
Yes.
You bet.
Trying to think what else. I know they're continuing into Daniels or Charleston.
Mm-hmm.
I just yesterday, in fact, met with a developer who showed me his plans to build a new 20,000 square foot facility for a business that would have retail frontage, but then would have a storage facility in the back where small trucks can come and ship their products. And so now it's just finding the business to occupy that space. But what I'm hearing, the phone's ringing a lot of interest in the Heber Valley, people wanting to expand their business. Seems like they've been dormant for the past number of years. Now they're ready to kind of get back at it, roll up their sleeves. And
You're talking about existing Heber City businesses?
both existing Heber City businesses and businesses outside who are looking in.
Let's talk about the ones that are here locally and say, hey, I'm interested in expanding my business, but they've been dormant for a while. That may be just a normal way of life. When you're excited when you start your business, you kind of get into the open your door, go do your thing, go home. And then you kind of find yourself so many years later saying, wait a minute, I'm not quite as busy as I want to be, or I'm not having as much fun as I used to. Or, hey, wait a minute, I see all these people coming, but they're not coming in my door. Can you specifically give advice to those of us in that position? Come talk to you, but so what are some steps to take?
Well,
to expand a business.
So that's a great question, and I guess it depends on the nature of the business. And so
let's talk retail.
Okay. One complaint that we hear regularly is a lot of times our businesses lack adequate customer service. They will set up an appointment, and the business representative will be late or won't be there, or won't deliver as promised. And so one of the themes that we kind of tried to tackle last year through the chamber was to create a greater sense of how businesses can enhance their customer service, how they can do more, how they can earn their business. Some businesses feel entitled. Hey, I got my business license. I paid my monthly lease. I opened the door and I put up a pretty sign. Therefore, you should come shop here.
Sure.
But they feel that sense of entitlement where they're not earning the business. Other businesses are doing a really good job of going out and drumming up relationships with the community. They're attending meetings. They're doing giveaways on their Facebook. They're reaching out. And so that's one clear difference that we see between maybe those that are struggling and those that are moving forward.
Building relationships. Tell me about that. Building a relationship. So I'm not really the most, I'm just hypothetically speaking, I'm not the most, let's say, outgoing person, but I know I have a fantastic product. I'm not really the go knock on someone's door and shake their hand kind of guy. Are there alternative ways to create those relationships?
Well, not to embarrass you or to put you on the spot, but having received a mortgage through your company, we get Christmas cards, we get newsletters, we get emails giving updates with financial advice. We feel that although maybe we don't interact face-to-face daily, that you still care about me as a previous client. Now, am I going to sell my house soon? Probably not. But knowing that one day I may sell my house or I may move into another, you've planted the seeds that will help me fill that relationship or that connection with you. And so I think that's a great example of what businesses can do. Their social media is a way that they can connect with their client without having the face-to-face interaction, making them still feel warm and fuzzy.
What happens if some of the listeners out there keep hearing this social media, and I'm thinking of a few of my friends that just say, I don't even turn on a computer, and they have maybe a negative feeling, or they've heard, that Facebook's not a good thing. There's so many things that go out there, but they know they probably should. Is there a place to go to learn how to do social media?
So through our Business Resource Center, we offer a variety of workshops and classes. In 2014, we're probably going to hold 2 different sessions on how to create a well, what is social media
Mm-hmm.
and how to take it to the next step. And so that's for the entry-level person who's never logged in onto Facebook, who really doesn't have a sense of how computers and technology maybe work.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're going to announce those dates. We actually held a workshop last year. Excuse me, Tom. Had a workshop last year where we had several participants come, left feeling very excited about social media.
Because
Because it was a whole new world to them. For them. Thank you.
gave him the mint.
For them, I think they had constantly dealt with the headache of how do we create relationships with
Yeah,
people? How do we get our word and our brand and our message out there?
Mm-hmm.
And once we explain that you can do this for free
Mm-hmm.
and that you can collaborate with other
Say
businesses.
that twice, by the way. Social
Okay.
media is what?
You can do social media for free.
Okay.
And it's
Interesting.
a great way to connect with people.
Mm-hmm.
It's, you know, the trends are going toward online to
bet.
social.
I
So
bet. I'm going to ask you a question. How important is the sign in the front of a guy's building?
that's a good question. I think
I have a personal opinion on that, by
I
the way.
think the quality of the sign
Mm-hmm.
speaks volumes about your company.
Okay.
I think it's very important. I discussed Ignition Graphics that's
Mhm.
opening a new business on Main Street.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at their sign, it's bright and bubbly,
Mm-hmm.
and it catches your eye, and it's very sharp. There are other signs that are maybe a piece of vinyl that's flapping in the wind that's kind of toasted from the sun,
Uh-huh.
and I don't think that bodes well for that business. And so my advice would be to have a quality looking sign because it's a reflection of the business. And maybe that business offers great services and great products, but for most people, image is everything.
So my good buddy owns CRC Designs, Clay
Mhm.
Coleman. Appreciate the stuff he's done for me. And the high quality of signs are so critical. I want to give it an opposite side of that, though. It's interesting. The signs are absolutely important. You have to have one. It's got to look good.
Mhm.
But guess who sees the sign the most? The business owner.
Mhm.
Especially goes up for a week and then afterwards it kind of blends. I tell people sometimes, drive down Main Street and tell me how many businesses you notice without,
Mhm.
trying to say, I know that business is right there. They kind of blend together.
Mhm.
And I know we spend a lot of time on that frontage, and it's critical, don't get me wrong. But the sign is only so good. And it's so critical that people say, I got to have my sign, it's got to say this, it's got to say that, I got to say this, I got to say that. The problem is you have too much saying on there, no one's going to see it.
Mhm.
Social media is the place to say what you want to say.
Yeah. I think that's, the sign is just a snapshot.
Yep.
It's just a 2-second snapshot. It's like a billboard.
Almost even just, where's your business? Oh, there it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And as long as it looks nice. But I think on the flip side of that coin, if you have a sign that looks poorly,
Yeah.
then it's going to be a bad
I
reflection.
agree. Let's talk about money.
Okay.
This show's kind of based in money.
Mhm.
And you brought this up earlier, but I want to go a little bit deeper. You talked about Mountain Lands having that opportunity, and that is just awesome. Should everybody look into that option, by the way? Do we just put that as on, check that number one?
I think so, but really the purpose of this is to not replace the banks,
Okay.
but to enhance what the banks are willing to lend.
Okay, explain yourself there a little bit to me. So
That's-
we have this 5 to 100,000 waiting there, but don't replace a bank. Help me understand what you
So
mean.
if you need $100,000 for your business and you approach the bank, they're going to want to see your financials. They're
You
going to
bet.
want to make sure that you can pay back the loan.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to want to see your business plan, and you're going to have to defend it to them.
Yep.
But if at the end of the day the bank says we're willing to lend you $80,000, but you still lack $20,000
Mm-hmm.
for what you need for your business, you can approach this revolving loan fund through MAG and say, I need a $20,000 bridge loan.
Okay.
And the bank's already given me 80. For collateral, we will sign off on our Ford F-150.
Mm-hmm.
And here's our business plan. We think that we can repay it according to these terms. And so it's really a way to enhance what the banks are doing and not
Okay.
to replace.
Okay. So just to repeat back to you what I heard, Mountain Lens is more of the supplementary, make the difference.
Correct.
Versus step one, do it all.
That's right.
Okay. Do they take a second lien position, or do they need first lien positions on trucks and stuff?
Both. So in some
Both,
cases, they'll
okay.
want to do the first lien. Some cases, they're willing to do the second.
Depending on the business and the risk they see.
That's right. And if I can tell you one example of a
please.
local company up here, it's Midway Adventure Company right there in Midway. And Drew Jenkins is the owner.
You bet.
He approached MAG 2 years ago and said, I want to expand my business and I want to start offering ATV razor rentals. For me to do that, I need to borrow money to purchase these little vehicles. He did. His repayment was a 5-year term, but within the first 12 months, he came back and said, this has increased my business. It's boosted revenues more than ever has. I would actually like to pay off half of what I owe and ask for more money to purchase 2 more. And so he did that. Then the next year, he came back and had all 4 of them paid off. And so it's just a success story to where he needed a little boost, got it, his revenues increased, he was able to pay it back, and now he's doing really well.
Perfect. I love it. Got another question for you. Go for it. Are we ahead of what's coming, or are we chasing it?
In terms of businesses coming?
Yeah. Are we reacting, or are we where are we on this curve? Do we wait to see what happens and then do something about it, or do we know what's coming and we are planning accordingly? And I say we as
a community.
It's you, but as a community.
Sure. I don't know if I can answer that. I think maybe both. I think to some sense, we don't know what the future looks like. I think there's a great sense of optimism that things are picking up, that as more people come in, more businesses are going to come. At the same time, there's a sense of being proactive too, and I can give you an example of one thing that we're doing with Heber City, and that's that we know that. Let me give you a very startling stat, if I can.
Please.
So this MAG group that I told you about that did the Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy did a survey, did an analysis, and about 70% of our workforce, 70% is leaving Wasatch County for employment.
Still commuting.
And so can we be reactionary? No, we need to be very proactive to go create those jobs so that our locals can stay here.
So I asked, what do you see? What does it look like? You see less commuting and more jobs here in the valley.
Well, I see an increased population. With that, it's almost impossible to keep up the job creation with a population increase. But I think steps can be taken to alleviate that problem. So maybe we get that number from 70% to 50% over the next 5 years. To do that, though, we have to have industry. We have to have places where a business can relocate or a business can expand. So Heber City owns 38.5 acres out by the airport. They've owned the land for a number of years, got it years ago for a very low cost. Well, this is a great way. This is a great economic development tool to where the city can maintain the land, but they can partner with a private developer who can come build the buildings. And then suddenly, for a very low cost, you have shovel-ready dirt, you have new buildings, and then it's just a question of attracting the right industry. A lot of times we hear we partner with the state, and they'll give us leads of maybe companies that want to come to the state of Utah that are looking for 20,000 square feet of manufacturing facility. But we just don't offer it. And so if we had this, we could get a Hershey's chocolate in, or we could get a Procter & Gamble, or some company that would create jobs.
So who's the first to step forward to make that happen?
Near the end of 2013, I presented to the Heber City Council. Mayor McDonald seems really excited about this concept and has put together a task force to further study it. So I think in 2014, a decision will be made one way or another. And if the city decides to do something along these lines, then it's just a question of getting the buildings built and finding those businesses to move into them.
So when I think of Park City, first thing that comes to my mind would be skiing.
Sure.
Maybe the Sundance Film Festival. Those are the first things that come to mind anyway. If I think of Provo, I think of web-based business, internet, whatever to do with computers, that kind of a thing. What are we? Or what do we want to be?
It's a good question.
What are we going to be? What are we?
What are our strengths?
Mm-hmm.
Who are we as a community?
And so that's why I'm asking is, are we ahead of what's coming? Do we know what we want to be called?
Mm-hmm.
And we attract that?
Mm-hmm.
Or are we waiting to see what comes and we'll just kind of go with it?
Yeah. So I've identified, in conjunction with this mountain land study, several key areas. One of them is light manufacturing.
Mm-hmm.
And to talk about that, and to give you an example, we have some great light manufacturers in the valley currently. So we have Myro Industries and Rooftop Anchor.
Mm-hmm.
Been there for 2 years. Nate Sargent decided to bring his business from Salt Lake up to the Heber Valley.
Mm-hmm.
He loves the area. He built this 25,000 square foot facility that houses a number of engineers, designers, workers, assembly line people. It has the whole gamut of jobs.
Mm-hmm.
He currently employs roughly 50 people, and I believe 49 of them are locals. And so that's a great industry. It's a light manufacturer that has a variety of skills.
Mm-hmm.
We also have conductive composites. Nate Hansen, he's a PhD from the University of Utah. Great guy who has this technology to where they can take any form of composite material and inject some sort of conductive material which strengthens it, and they're able to work with the DoD and partner on a number of trade shows to where they can get contracts. And so that's another up-and-coming company. We have Redmond Salt, obviously one of our poster children here in the valley.
Yep, love them.
As well as 123 Postcards,
Mm-hmm.
and that's another company that over the past year and a half, the number of employees that they've hired is just off the charts. I believe they've hired 25 just in the past 12 months.
Wow.
So we're excited about that. If somebody were to ask what are our strengths, what types of services and businesses do we want, I think we're a small business community, but that we have opportunities for light manufacturing,
Mm-hmm.
engineers, specialized skills that pay well. And then you branch out from there and you look at the healthcare, and you look at the dialysis center and the medical center and some of the health services that are being offered. Russ Watts Group's creating a new building out by the library, another senior living facility,
Mm-hmm.
which will create jobs because they're caregivers that
Nurses
are needed.
and so
nurses.
forth, caregivers about.
Mm-hmm. So that's another industry. Then you look at the airport, some more manufacturing, some more services that really lend themselves to the aviation industry. The state of Utah has identified that as one of its cluster industries as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so if we could get engineers to come manufacture airplane parts, it's a great low impact industry. And then you look at the tourism as well. Naturally, that's part of our DNA.
You bet.
We're a tourism destination. We're a mountain community. And so just to kind of play on that strength as well.
What do you hope when someone drives down the hill off of Jordanelle and comes in this valley? What is their first impression? Maybe they make it even to Main Street. What's the first impression?
I hope that person would be in awe because of the beauty of the valley. And I think that lends itself as a recruiting tool as we try to get these businesses. We're not Salt Lake, and we're not Provo.
Mm-hmm.
We never will be.
And nor do we want to be.
Nor do we want to be.
Mm-mm.
But that's our strength.
Yep.
You don't want to come here because we're industrial 100% through and through. You want to come here because we have endless miles of trails, and we have 3 state parks, and we live in this beautiful hidden valley that's still a stone's throw from Provo and Salt Lake.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I would want them to understand. And today I'm meeting with a group that's looking to expand from Wyoming into the Heber Valley. Spoke with them 3 weeks ago, and they asked our parting question, why should we relocate there? And I told them, this isn't a place for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want just any business that's going to come. We want the right type of business, the business that's going to love and appreciate our valley, that's going to want to be part of a community where they can go recreate on their lunch break. And so.
Okay, I'm in. I'm staying.
Good.
I like it.
I was worried.
You just sold me on it.
Well, I'm glad.
You did a fantastic job. I think you're awesome at what you do for a living. For those of us with existing businesses, you've given us great tools. I heard, come see you.
Yes.
Step 1.
Step 1. And then from there, we can connect you with a variety of resources. There are some state grants and some state incentives that maybe come in the form of tax credits. It's not a cash incentive, but if you want to build or if you want to take an old building and update it, maybe there's a chance for us to help you. So
should I come see you?
Maybe you should.
I think I will.
Okay.
I think I will. I appreciate that very much. Today's show on KTMP 1340 was sponsored and is by Guild Mortgage Company. Now, I do have to give my disclaimer, and I always try and make it as fast as I can because it's the most boring part of the whole show. But here I go. Guild Mortgage Company, NMLS 3274, Equal Housing Lender, Tombstone, MLS 257849. The information contained in this training has been prepared and distributed for educational purposes only and do not reflect the opinions of Guild Mortgage. I messed up, dang it. And do not represent the opinions of Guild Mortgage Company. Whew.
Say that 3 times.
Are you okay? You still with me?
Yeah, I'm still with you. Something about 1, 2, 3.
I have to give my own little 2 cents here as we finish up the show. Ryan brought up the fact that I was one of the first people that met Ryan. And if Ryan was to be honest, he would know that I was maybe overprotective of this valley. And to me, when he told me he was from Ogden and governor's this and that, I thought, you better appreciate this place. Don't come here as I'll be here for 2 or 3 years and a stepping stone and bless your heart for being here and I'm out. I mean, you can do that, don't get me wrong, but I love this place. This place is home. I want to create it to be the best for my business and everybody else's. And that's really the purpose of this show. And I knew he was smart. I knew he could speak well, but I was skeptical because, and I apologize a little bit for that, by the way, Ryan. Do you forgive me?
I forgive you, Tom.
Thank you very much. And I sat back and watched for a little while to see how it was going to go. I remember the good old days. For me, the good old days were Robin Pearson in charge of the chamber and such, and I was heavily involved back then and really loved his vision and what he did. And I'll be honest with you, I feel it coming back, or maybe is back. And it does have to reflect from the leader. And now, yes, there's the county council and the city council and all these other people, don't get me wrong, but Ryan, I got to tell you, I am absolutely impressed, completely impressed with how you do things and how it's going. And I thank you, and I mean that sincerely.
Well, I appreciate that. It really is a team sport, but I'm glad to be part of it. And I love this valley as well. And I am protective. So the next young punk kid that comes to my office, I'm going to be very skeptical as well. So,
well, I what's fun is we went to the Christmas chamber meeting, and we had to hold out at the UVU because you expected a lot of people. I don't know if you expected even more than you expected because it was almost standing room of all those people. And I'm like, I haven't seen them for a while. Oh, look, there's that person. And who's that? And so on and so on and so forth. Had a great time. It was awesome. But there was just that camaraderie. I've always hoped that now I do mortgages for a living. And I've always said to myself, boy, those of us who mortgage in this valley really shouldn't consider ourselves so much competition. We should do a collective group something. Because our competition is the internet.
Sure.
Is the big guys out there. And what could we do collectively to say, keep it local? You made the comment with keep it local that some people have not had the customer service they wished. I wonder how many times the owners hear that.
I don't think they hear it enough.
Because they don't know.
Don't.
Maybe they had the experience and it was fine to them, but the person came back, and so having that feedback to say, oh, wait a minute, all I know is they didn't come back. Well, I wonder what happened. Did they or did they not? And to have that honest feedback with constructive criticism, I guess you could say, would be critical. You do have to have thick skin to have a business.
You do.
You do. What is your final word of advice? Final encouragement for what you see in the future for business owners of Wasatch County?
I think the future is very bright. I think there's a tangible sense in the air that things are changing and that things are growing, and that we have the blessing of being part of something greater than ourselves, that we get to be part of this growth. And it's going to, for better or for worse, it's not going to slow down. And so what are we going to do to assist in that growth and to make sure that our community keeps its values, that our community keeps its identity. And the one thing that I love about this area is the sense of volunteerism. There are a number of boards and committees, from cowboy poetry to city groups and boards. And I would just encourage anybody that wants to make a difference to do so, to come join our chamber, to go get involved with the planning commission, or with cowboy poetry, or with any of the number of boards and committees that we have. And by doing that, I think it just creates a greater sense of unity within our area.
Now, we've talked about coming to see you. Let's make sure people know where that is at and how they get a hold of you. Tell us your location and phone number.
Our address is 475 North Main Street. It's the Swiss building, the visitor center next to Maverick.
Okay.
And if you've seen the building, we've put some significant updates in it to make sure that it looks a little nicer and it's very warm and welcoming. So come see us. We have a great staff there that's always willing and eager to meet new people. And you can call us, 654-3666, or visit our website at gohebervalley.com.
Awesome. Well, I can't thank you enough, Ryan, for coming on the show today. Maybe in a little while we'll update again, invite you back.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Remind everyone that today's show was sponsored by Guild Mortgage Company. And to remember that Ryan's color is
blue.
For those of you who want to enter the Facebook contest on Guild Mortgage's Facebook webpage. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next week.